Hi, I'm Helen Eleftheriou. Most recently, I was Head of Early Careers for a global organisation where my role was to recruit graduates and apprentices. Based on my experience as an employer, I'm going to give you some top tips to help you ace an assessment day. Most large employers invite you to attend an assessment day as the final stage in the recruitment process. Assessment days are designed to help us to understand what you would be like to work with and put you in scenarios that look for teamwork and good communication. Usually, a group of candidates is invited to each assessment day. The assessment day would usually take place in one of the employer's offices, but because of the restriction of the coronavirus, many employers have moved assessment days online. Now, you must prepare before the day. If you turn up without preparing, not only will you feel underconfident, but it creates the wrong impression. And as part of your preparation, look over your application form and CV to remember how you answered the questions. This is because during the interview we often refer to the answers you gave us. I also recommend you look at various sources of information, such as the employer's website, to understand more about the company and its values. Go on YouTube to see if they have any videos of young employees who work there discussing their experience. Glassdoor is also a good source, as this will give you an idea of what its employers think of working there. And if you're applying for an apprenticeship, Rate My Apprenticeship is great as it gives detail on what it's like to do an apprenticeship in the organisation. Also, use a search engine to find out any current news on the company. And make sure you're aware of the key competencies or strengths they are looking for. Now, what to wear? Always a difficult one. But my recommendation is, regardless of whether it's face to face or online, the safest bet is to wear business-like clothes. And most importantly, wear something you feel comfortable in, because in some cases you may be at the employer's offices all day. On the day of the assessment, remember to take a copy of your CV, application form, and the job advert so you can refer to it if you need to. And if you're going to the employer's offices, make sure you know where you're going and allow plenty of time to get there. There's nothing worse than arriving late, as you'll be flustered and it may impact the rest of your day. Plus, it creates a bad impression. If you're doing an online assessment, fully charge your laptop or PC. The employer will send details of how to log on into the assessment in advance, so please ensure you understand the instructions. As with face-to-face, allow plenty of time to log in. Now sit somewhere quiet where you won't get interruptions, because you don't want a barking dog in the background. Check your background and make sure it's tidy, and don't add anything into your background that you think will make you look interesting. I recommend you eat and drink something before you start to keep your energy levels high. Now, throughout the assessment, you need to think that as a school leaver, we know you haven't got a lot of work experience, so what we look for is your potential, attitude, and personality. So be enthusiastic and positive, show that you really want the job. And also, resist comparing yourself to other candidates, as you have something to offer, otherwise, you wouldn't have been invited into the assessment. Reasonable adjustments. Some employees may ask you if you need any reasonable adjustments. This is so where we can adjust the process to support those of you who need it. If you're not asked and you need an adjustment, please contact the employer. This is so they have as much notice as possible to accommodate your request if they're able to. Now, as much as assessment days are for us to get an understanding of who you are, it's crucial you get an insight into the company to make sure it's right for you. If you're given the opportunity to meet with apprentices and school leavers who work for the organisation, make sure you ask them what they like working there and about the job. You usually find they're happy to give you their advice. Now, throughout the day, you will be given a series of activities, and typical activities to expect will be tests. Most of these are online, and you have to complete them before you're invited to the assessment day. We use these as we want to measure your ability and fit for the organisation and understand how you would approach certain situations. It's important that you practice before attempting to do the tests. So many candidates do without practicing and are then surprised when they fail. You're usually sent a link in advance, so make sure you understand when the deadline is to complete and that you have a fully charged working device and take the test somewhere where you won't get interrupted. Now, don't underestimate the importance of the tests and leave it until last minute to complete. So many times I've seen candidates fail if they don't take the test seriously enough. Now, group exercises. These are used to assess your teamwork and communication problem solving skills. We're interested in seeing how you work together. We don't want to see you argue or for one person to dominate the group. If you're slightly more shy, please make sure you contribute. If you don't say anything, we haven't got anything to go on. Also, be diplomatic and be prepared to compromise with the group. Listen and don't interrupt other candidates. Another part where people fall down on is the time, so make sure you keep an eye on it and stay focused on the task. You may also get a case study, and we use these to give you an example of the kind of work you may be involved in. For example, if you're applying for a role with a finance employer, you might be presented with a budget for an organisation on how you will spend it. Sometimes there will be an in-tray exercise, and this usually takes the form of a business situation where you're given a task where you're asked to pretend to be an employee and tackle accordingly. So, for example, you may be given a busy inbox and you're asked to prioritise the tasks. And be logical with the way you tackle it, and again, keep an eye on the time. Another feature of an assessment day is a presentation, and you'll likely be given the subject beforehand so you can prepare before the day. You should be told how long the presentation will be, how to present it, and what equipment you can use to present. If you're not told this, ask, as you want to be as prepared as possible. And I always recommend taking a printout of a presentation with you just in case the technology doesn't work. And when you're presenting, try not to look at your presentation for the whole exercise and try and have some eye contact. And practice the presentation the day before so you understand the content and get used to speaking out loud. And usually there is an interview, and in this we normally measure your motivation, understanding of the role and anything technically related. We want to make sure you're fully committed to work with us, so make sure you show your genuine passion and commitment to work with us. This is probably the time where you can really show who you are and your personality. At the end of the day, thank everyone for their time and giving the opportunity for the interview. Now, whatever the outcome of the assessment day, if feedback is offered from the employer, take it, as you could learn a lot from it. And finally, good luck and please believe in yourself.